Yo quiero Taco Bell. Hey gang, Jeff Stone here with day 17 of the year 2016 at MagicReview.com. We're taking a look at Essence by Miguel Angel Gea. Hope I said that right. So, I don't even know where to start with this thing. It's a beast in a good way. It's $150 for 4 DVDs. So you get this, comes in a sleeve here that you slide out. And there's 4 discs inside of here. And it's done by the Essential Magic Collections people, which is the Luis D'Amatos and his team. And all the ones that I've reviewed have been excellent quality. So let's just get the easy part out of the way. Production quality is solid. The DVD is easy to navigate. The lighting, the audio, the camera angles, all that stuff's awesome. So before we talk about the effects, let's talk about the structure of the DVD. There's 4 kind of things you're going to get. You're going to get a performance of each trick, an explanation of each trick, then an afterthoughts section for each trick. There's a few tricks that don't have the afterthoughts, but most of them do. And then there's an interview segment, which there's 4 interview segments, and there's 1 on each of the discs. So all of the performances are, well, I shouldn't say that. Some of the performances are done in front of a live audience, like at some venue. I think it was in Spain. I could be wrong about that. And all of the ones that are done in front of that live audience, he performs them in Spanish. He's speaking Spanish. The ones that are performed in the studio, he speaks in English. So I don't know if it's truly a 50-50 split, but half of the performances are in English and half of them are in Spanish. Then the explanations are all done in English. And then the afterthoughts are all done in Spanish, and their interview is all done in Spanish. So an easy way to sum that up is everything is done in Spanish with the exception of the explanations and some of the performances. Now, regardless of the language he's speaking, you can choose to use subtitles in 5 different languages. So you can subtitle Spanish if you want, which in most of the stuff's already spoken in Spanish, but you can still subtitle it in Spanish. You can do English, Portuguese, Japanese, and French. So those 5 languages, and so I'm going to give you the perspective that I had, which is an American unilanguage, guy speaking Americanized English, watching this, and so that's the perspective I'll be coming from. However, if you speak French, I'm not sure how you're understanding anything I'm saying right now, but assuming that's not a problem, you'll be watching him perform in Spanish and interview in Spanish with French subtitles, and then you'll be watching him teach in English with French subtitles, and he'll be doing afterthoughts in Spanish with French subtitles. If you're, Portuguese, you speak Portuguese, or you speak Japanese, same kind of thing. You'll be watching it in Spanish with subtitles in your language. So I'm going to be going from the perspective of watching him perform in Spanish, do the afterthoughts in Spanish, the interview in Spanish with English subtitles, and then the explanations in English and some of the performances in English. I still use the subtitles. I didn't want to bother going in and turning them on and off. So that's the perspective I'm coming from on this. Now, I cannot let the language barrier affect the star rating, because then I'd have to give a different review for not just every country, not just every language, but every person. Because you might live in America and speak French and Spanish. I don't know. You might live in Spain and speak, I think that Miguel here speaks a little bit of Portuguese. So you might live in Spain and speak Portuguese and Spanish. I don't know. I have no idea what your language is. So I can't let that affect the star rating. If anything, the fact that they went to the effort to put it together so that 5 different languages could watch it, that ought to give them bonus points. So, that aside, let's talk about the effects. There are 35-ish effects on there, and if I'm not mistaken, they're all either card or coin or card and coin routines. Most of the coin routines are either some form of coins across, coins to glass, maybe not a spellbound, but a color changing coin or copper silver kind of routine, or a spellbound kind of routine, or some blend of that, or a matrix. There's a whole bunch of matrices, matrix effects on the DVD. And I have a viewer, I'm being dead serious here. I have a viewer of my videos who I don't know if he only has one arm or if he's got an injured arm or something, but he often sends me messages asking if certain effects can be done with just one arm. And Miguel Angel Gea, he has a routine in there. It's a one-handed matrix. And it's the presentations about how he does the whole effect with one hand. And he said it was actually inspired by a magician he met that has one arm, and not Rene Levon, by the way, but that this one-arm magician was inspired by Rene Levon and wanted to become a card magician. And so Miguel made this effect for that guy. At least that's what I got out of it by hearing it in Spanish and reading the subtitles. I think that's what happened. Something like that. But anyway, it is a one-armed matrix, and it's got a nice presentational angle to it. So the guy I'm talking about, he knows who he is. If you're watching, there's a trick on here that's just perfect for that. So so that's the coin stuff. Now, with the matrix routines, you might be thinking, well, why do I need 10 matrix routines? Well, I don't know if you do. I don't, because I don't do the matrix. There is one on there, though, that if I ever did a matrix, that's the one I would do. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But that aside, the matrix just never really appealed to me. I'm not a coin guy. But if you are a coin person, the reason that it's beneficial to have multiple versions of it on there, there's all kinds of different ways to do it. There's just the ones where the coins simply move from one spot to the other. There's ones with a kickback. There's ones where he has one where he starts with 4 coins on the table, and then you blink, and all 4 coins have assembled under one card, super fast. He's got so many different ones, and each of them has different techniques and different methods and moves and stuff that you may not be familiar with. But either way, you'll learn all these different techniques that you can apply to other magic, maybe even to your own matrix routine. So that's the coin stuff. The one matrix routine that I would do, if I did do a matrix, is the one where he has a spectator involved, and it's basically the spectator's the one putting the cards on top of the coins. And what I like about that particular routine is it's really pretty much a standard matrix, but he's added one little bit of presentational business, and then having the spectator up there putting the cards down, all attention goes to them, and you could load the proverbial elephant, as they say. And so the misdirection on it's great. So that's what I like about it. It's just super sneaky. And so that I might actually do that one if I ever did it. I mean, if I did do Matrix, I would do that. I'm just considering maybe toying around with it now. Anyway, so tons of coin stuff. Lots of stuff where silver turns to copper, copper turns to silver, coins, coins across, coins to glass, like I mentioned. Then there's a lot of card stuff. The card stuff, for the most part, there's a couple exceptions, but if you're familiar with any of these Spanish magicians, they're all geniuses. I don't think I've seen one of these guys that isn't a genius. And they're all either students of Tamarez or Ascanio, or there's a couple other big names over there that these guys are all students of, and they're brilliant guys, brilliant thinkers, and a little bit crazy in a good way. So if you've seen these guys, you've seen the kind of magic they do. Like Woody Aragon's a good example. He does a lot of tricks that are kind of self-working, that are, maybe involve some procedure or dealing or whatever, but his personality breathes life into it. It's those types of card tricks on here, but they're not like, okay, here's an example. He has a 9-phase spelling routine. 9-phase spelling routine. Now, most people will be like, 9 phases? That's kind of insane. But it works. And again, I'm not saying that you have to do that trick or that, I mean, again, if you don't like spelling routines, then whatever. I'm not, I've got, there's a couple spelling routines I've played around with that I like. But anyway, that's to give you an idea of the kind of stuff we're talking about here. So this 9-phase spelling routine requires a full deck that you have to dedicate to it. The performance one you see is in Spanish, and so words are spelled differently in Spanish. But on the 4th DVD, he actually has an English version of it. He said it also works in Portuguese because of the way the spelling of the suits and stuff are the same. I have no clue if it'll work in Japanese or French. But watching both of them, so let's say you're French, watch the Spanish one, then watch the English one, and you'll get the concept, and then you'll be able to see if you can do it with French spellings. Anyway, so there's that. There's another one where you have a deck of cards and you show the face of the card, and it's just say 2 of diamonds, and then it touches the table, and then you lift it up, and now there's the word table written on it. But then you have it touch the chair, and now it says the word chair on it, and it just keeps changing. And he has a whole routine built into this that everything it touches, it changes to that. And it's, again, it's a full. The reason I'm telling you about the effect is because I want to talk about the method. It's, again, a full deck stack. And then the one of the finales for one of the little performances was this deck. If you're familiar with the, I think it's called Now Look Here by Chad Long. Doc Eason does it. If you're familiar with that, it's like that on steroids. It's like it's all over the place. There's a card and it says look in the pocket. You look in the pocket, it says look over there, and there's like 20 different places it sends you in. It's like you guys go on this journey together, all these places that the cards send you. And then when all is said and done, you've seen all these cards with stuff written all over them and all this markings all over them. And then when all is said and done, you spread the deck out, and it's clean and examinable at the end of the routine. And so there's a lot of stuff going into that. It's like 3 decks involved and stuff. But anyway, that's the kind of stuff you're dealing with here. Some very involved, intricate methods in some cases. Other cases, it's not that involved at all. There's one particular coin routine that, like, he did it for a competition, and he talked about it on this video, and he performed it and taught it. Not because he's saying you should go out and do this for lay people. He's saying this is the kind of thing that's more geared for magicians for a competition. But I mean, your jacket is loaded to the hilt. You got, from the audience perspective, it's like a 4-coin routine, but you got like 20 coins, and I'm not exaggerating. It's a lot of stuff all over your body. Anyway, that's neither good nor bad. It's just indifferent depending on your perspective and what you want to do. I'm just trying to give you a sense of what's going on here. So, coin tricks, we covered that. There's coins across, coins of glass, matrix. That's basically, and some spellbound. Card tricks, they're the ones that are a little bit more involved. They're ones with full decks. And the cards are very, it's almost like he's having a conversation with the cards kind of thing. And then the methods used for the coin work, it's pretty standard gimmicks that you're used to. And the card work, again, pretty standard stuff there, basic standard techniques and card handling and so forth, along with the stacked decks. So, generally speaking, when we're talking about method here, putting aside maybe 1, 2, possibly 3 out of the 35 effects, let's just say 3, putting aside 3 effects, the other 32 they're ones that are not, the method isn't so overwhelming that you would just be like, I'm not going to do it. They're ones that if you liked the trick, you'd be willing to put in the time to do it. There's 2 or 3, it reminds me of some of Tommy Wonder stuff. It's like, yeah, it's beautiful magic, but man, I'm never going to build that freaking clock table that he makes, or the Rubik card or whatever. They're great effects, but I'm not going to put the time into building them, so I'll never do them. So there's 2 or 3 tricks like that you still might build, and if you do, build's the wrong word, work the method, and if you do, you'll be one of the few people in the world doing them. But if you don't, there's still 32 other things to pick from that you will be willing to do if you liked that kind of effect. So, have we covered effect and method? I think so. We've already talked about ad copy. Product quality, I think we've covered that too. The teaching is excellent. He's a great teacher. His English is not, and he'll tell you this, that his English isn't that great. He's still very good. And he teaches everything in English. But then he has this little segment after each explanation, the afterthoughts, where up on the screen it said, things I can't say in English. So it's him in Spanish explaining things like the history of the effect, the reason he got involved in it, what inspired him about it, the psychology of the methods, and all these great principles and philosophical points and stuff. And he goes into some pretty good depth after each trick. I thought that was great. Very, very informative. Now, because I speak English, I'm hearing him in Spanish and I'm reading it in English. During that segment, that's pretty easy to do because I don't really have to watch him. I don't have to look at his hands or anything because I just have to read what he's saying. But it does go pretty fast. So you have to kind of keep up. But it's worth it if you keep up. Whereas during the performances, when he's performing in Spanish and I'm reading subtitles in English, it's a very hard balancing act to look at the screen and try to read it, try to keep up with it, and then see what he's doing, and then look at the screen and see what he's doing. When it comes to the explanation part, though, any of that reading and seeing what he's doing part goes away for me because he's speaking in English and explaining them in English, and I'm watching everything. I don't know what that experience will be like for somebody who doesn't speak English or Spanish. I can't say how that's going to go. My gut is it's going to be harder, but you can rewind and rewatch it. And yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer, but hey, it could have been that they didn't do any French subtitles and you couldn't watch the product at all. So, what else is there to say about it? I think that's about it, guys. I gave it 5 stars. Stone status, a capital G, capital E, capital M. So putting aside the language issue, if you liked the trick that was in the trailer, the DVD is full of stuff like that. If you don't like that trick, you won't like this DVD. If you like that trick, then you like this DVD. And everything's taught extremely well, great depth. There's a lot of great stuff to be gleaned from the interviews with Luis D'Amatos. Again, those are in Spanish, subtitled at your language of choice out of 5. So, anyway, speaking of 5 stars. Stone status, capital G, capital E, capital M, exclamation point. I'm shutting up while you like my video, subscribe to my channel, and listen to the random iTunes song of the moment. But before you do, I'm trying to get the perspective right now here. I think it's going to be in the bottom left here on the screen. There's a little round orange button. If you had really good vision, you would see that it's my little eyeball logo, and it says subscribe. I don't know if you can see that. I'm pretty sure that it's on my left. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's where it's at. Anyway, click on that to subscribe, please, and then like the video, share it out on social media, and listen to the random iTunes song, which is... Oh, yeah, okay. It's been a while. One more. Yeah. Dirty Window by Metallica. This is off the Saint Anger album. Now, one of the most debated albums. True Metallica fans say that I shouldn't say true Metallica fans. Some Metallica fans say that somewhere just after the Black Album, they sold out. And then they had a couple, quote, sellout albums. And then they produced this Saint Anger from a pretty bad place in their lives. They just lost Jason Newsted in the band. Not lost, but he was left the band because him and James and the rest of the guys were fighting. He replaced Cliff Burton when Cliff Burton died, and he had big shoes to fill, and they all loved Cliff. And when Jason came in, they kind of never got past the initiation phase with him. They never really treated him like one of their own, and it actually drove him out of the band. And this is all stuff I heard in interviews. I'm not making this crap up. But from my understanding is that even kind of James Hetfield kind of, started, I don't know if he started doing drugs, but certainly had a drinking problem and maybe some substance abuse. And it was just a bad time for all of them. And so I don't know if the way they treated Jason is what drove him to that. But anyway, this album came out during this mess, and they were trying a new style. They changed their drum style. There's no guitar solos. They changed a lot of stuff, and a lot of people just hated the album. I like it. I think it's cool, man. There's some really good tunes on there. I love. I can't remember what it's called. There's a TikTok. What is it called? I can't. Anyway, there's this like line, Frenzy. I don't remember. Anyway, rambling on. But the album's good. There's one or two tunes I'm not a huge fan of, but generally speaking, I love this album. So, Saint Anger. The song is Dirty Window. Enjoy that. Tune in tomorrow, day 18, where we look at Kyle P. Merck's Psychic CDs. Thanks for watching, folks. Until then, peace out.